Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today we ended up getting the full-on patch notes for Season 2 Reloaded. Now, the update itself actually drops tomorrow. Currently, on Battle.net, you can preload it. It was like a 50 gig download. It was a pretty significant preload on BNet. On console for Xbox and PlayStation, there should be a preload that either goes live overnight tonight or very, very early on tomorrow. But then the actual update itself with all the content and all the changes goes into effect tomorrow at around 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific time. It should be rolling out right around then. But that said, we did go through, we got all the patch notes early for multiplayer, zombies, Warzone, detailing the content, the changes, the fixes, every single update like that. So we've got a lot to dive into here. Obviously, the content stuff we already know about. We've gone through like Season 2 roadmap and the Reloaded blog posts and everything like that with the new weapons. We have a million melees this second half season, right? We've got the D13 sector coming next week. We got the belt fed ammo mod coming next week as well. New wild cards, zombies director mode, all sorts of stuff like that. So we actually dive right into global weapon updates first and foremost here, which is kind of interesting. So this is for multiplayer and zombies alike. Interesting that they're doing MP and zombies tuning at once, but we'll see what it entails. So with the GPR, they say we're making some adjustments to the GPR 91 to help builds and playstyles that target its slower TTK. We're extending the effective damage range where headshots are especially impactful. We're also making improvements to the CHF barrel and rapid fire attachments to make these more appealing choices. So the close range damage gets buffed there. CHF barrel gets a better recoil, basically. They reduce the penalties there. Then rapid fire gives you better fire rate now, and then the penalty for recoil is not as, it's actually more harsh now, so the penalty was increased there. So you can adjust your GPR setups and see if they're a bit more viable now after this update. Interesting buff there for sure. On the Fang LMG, this is designed as an AR LMG hybrid with a slow rate of fire. We want it to play more aggressively than it has been, so we're giving it some significant handling and mobility improvements. So the pre-fire delay has been improved. That's solid because that was making it really annoying to use. Slide to fire speed is better, dive to fire is better, ADS is better, movement speed in general is better, crouch movement speed's better, sprinting movement speed is better, and the ADS movement speed is better. Pretty solid all around there. The Fang definitely needed some aggressive tune-ups there, so that's nice to see. On the SWAT, they're improving the burst delay. When compared to the AEK, it should be harder to hit one burst kills at range, but easier to fire off subsequent bursts. So the burst delay was reduced, and then rapid fire has it even more reduced now, essentially. On the Sarkov, small improvement to shot queuing to help prevent accidental follow-up shots when spamming the trigger, so it just should feel a bit more natural now. Then on the AEK, they're excited to have a full auto AEK in Black Ops 6. There was an issue causing the headshot damage to be lower than intended, so that's now been corrected on that full auto mod. The base headshot multiplier was also buffed, and the multiplier with the CHF barrel is also better too. On snipers here with these universal updates, address an issue on some fast mag attachments that resulted in extra rechamber animations. On melees, we are improving some melee lunge distances, especially for the 2-hit kill melees. Our melee tuning philosophy revolves around keeping melee movement speeds the same to prevent certain melees from being meta or being optimal for hitting routes. This means hits to kill, attack speed, and lunge distances are the main tools that we can make weapons feel unique. We know that more hits to kill can be a disadvantage, so we want to make sure that attack speed and lunge distance is better. So on the knife, the baseball bat, and the power drill, those lunge distances are all up now. Then on attachments, on the underbarrel crossbow, they increase the ammo, the ADS zoom level, and then also the velocity. That's the general weapon updates that apply to both multiplayer and zombies. Now we get into the mode-specific updates, and also we have a sponsor on today's video. Hey everyone, just a quick heads up, today's video is sponsored by Factor. Factor is the easiest way to meet your nutritional goals in an affordable and convenient way. Now, personally, I've been using Factor for the past several months, and I gotta say, it is incredible. I am not particularly skilled when it comes to, well, cooking anything, quite frankly, but luckily, Factor has my back. They take the stress out of meal planning. You don't have to worry about all the grocery trips and the prep. It's just quick and easy options that support keto, vegan, and calorie smart plans. And Factor is super flexible too. You can easily adjust how many meals you want for a week. You could pause or reschedule deliveries, all depending on your schedule. Like, seriously, it is the easiest way to eat right without all the stress. If you are interested in trying out Factor for yourself, head on over to factor75.com or click the link down in the description below and use code 50WhosImmortal for 50% off your first box plus free shipping. Again, that's code 50WhosImmortal at factor75.com for 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Huge thanks again to Factor for sponsoring today's video, and now back to it. So now diving into the multiplayer specific updates, we obviously have new maps here with Grind and then also Bullet. S&D addressed an issue where the 1v3 medal would not be awarded. Spawn updates on TDM adjusted spawn logic to reduce chances of flipping too soon. In Dom, adjusted spawn logic to slightly reduce the stickiness and strength that new zone ownership has on spawns. Then in all modes, increasing the time that death will affect enemy spawn positions. This should result in less immediate flipping. Interesting to see if that actually plays out well there. LTM highlights and adjustments. So we've got the TMNT Mosh Pit where you get your general abilities here for the turtle skins. I think this is kind of weird that like they're charging for all these skins individually, but then they give you bonuses in game. And if you don't use one of these skins, then the bonuses are random. But if you use a specific skin, then you get that bonus. Just kind of interesting. They're not really fully on board with that. Added grind ooze 24/7, then mosh pit of 66 respawn modes, and on that include TDM kill confirmed dom and hard points. For the general playlist updates in multiplayer, we're gonna have TMNT mosh pit, grind ooze 24/7, small map mosh pit, gun game, prop hunt, and then gun fight. With perk updates, shrapnel radar explosive kills no longer activate a radar ping event. Then on tracker, address an issue where enemies were not consistently pinged in free-for-all. With score streaks, the nuke addressed an issue where if a player used a weapon-based score streak during their current life, they'd be unable to obtain a nuke. Then on the hand cannon, addressed an issue where hand cannon did not contribute towards score streak medals. Movement updates addressed an issue where strafing into a prone can result in a third-person animation pop. Couple of UI updates here, addressed an issue that prevented stats for the war machine showing, an issue where the player would receive a notification that their care package was hijacked. Adjusted gun game scoreboards, improved navigation when editing loadouts, added a mute player button while in body shield, so if you don't want to hear whoever's attacking you in body shield yapping, you can mute them. Addressed a crash that could occur when scrolling through the gunsmith, and then also addressed an issue where duplicate game modes were shown in private match. With graphic updates here, address an issue with environment visuals on the benchmark, and then also various stability issues. You know that's the vibe. If it's got various stability updates, it's a real update, folks. So we've got that checked off for multiplayer now. For zombies, there's a lot of very, very specific things. There are a ton of very niche bug fixes specifically for the tomb. So if you want to read the exact specifics here, by all means, feel free to go ahead and pause the video in the interest of time. And also me not running out of breath, just let you guys pause if you want the exact specifics, things addressing, you know, the doppelgast, and then various different quest related bugs and glitches. Obviously, being the newer map, it has a lot more issues than some of the other ones, although Citadel de Mor also has its own specific bug fixes as well. Several ones that have sort of been prolonged or were added in when directed mode was added there. So again, if you want the exact specifics, feel free to pause. They did add directed mode for the tomb, so if you want that sort of step-by-step guide with the Easter egg, you can now go through and run that. We obviously have Cowabunga cranked for zombies as well as a new LTM, again giving you turtle power-ups there. Once more, if you use the actual turtle skins, you go through and buy them, you get bonus like rewards and stuff in game. It makes you better in game, less damage from behind and stuff. I think that's a little bit weird to incentivize power-ups behind buying skins. Nonetheless, that's where COD's at. Weapon updates, check out the Season 2 global section. So all the weapon balances we talked about earlier in that global section apply to zombies as well, with like the GPR and the Fang and everything. Address an issue that caused some blueprints to lose their optic after being packed. Address an issue where melee weapons cannot be inspected after being packed. And address an issue that could prevent weapons in alt fire from being dropped. With perks here, Death Perception got some updates there. They increased the threshold to activate that health. Deadshot addressed an issue where aim would not snap to the head when standing in a Vulture Aid cloud. For field upgrades, Dark Flare got a couple of adjustments here. They increased the base damage, the tick damage, and the explosion damage there. With Streaks, Mutant Injection addressed an issue that prevented players from using the melee if they were awarded Melee Macchiato. With Loot, added the following weapons to the mystery box and loot drops: the PPSH, the Cypher, the Fang, the TR2, the War Machine, and the Hand Cannon. Addressed an issue where Vermin would not be affected by the Rampage Inducer. Then also armored zombies will now receive critical damage when insta-kill is active. For activities here, they made several updates with these SAM trials, just sort of fixing things there with certain things not tracking correctly. Addressed an issue that prevented the Prestige 10 challenge random elements from tracking, and then also on Titan Felling, special kills now count towards that. With UI, addressed an issue where players cannot edit a Gobblegum pack, an issue preventing eliminations with the M23 from counting, addressed an issue that prevented the firing range from being accessible on the confirm loadout screen, an issue with weapon stats, and then also some after action report stuff there too. Graphics addressed an issue where the etheric lantern flame effects could be stuck on your screen, and also an issue with the ice staff not showing correctly, and even more various stability fixes We're 2 for 2. We'll see if we get various stability fixes in Warzone, which we'll head over to those patch notes now. By the way, as we are going through all the updates here, if you guys are new to the channel or maybe you have not subscribed yet, every single day I got you covered with everything you need to know about Call of Duty, so feel free to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date. And if you enjoy this video, a like rating is always seriously appreciated as well. So here, Wednesday, February 19th update, we have our playlist update pretty much until, I guess, the end of the season, which we can assume is going to be March 20th. We're going to have ranked play trios, of course, on Urzikstan, Battle Royale, solos, duos, and quads on Urzikstan, Resurgence, solos, duos, trios, and quads on Rebirth, and then just quads on Area 99, and then Plunder quads on Urzikstan. Kind of a lackluster playlist update, honestly. General here, Warzone combat records have been re-enabled. Repeat loadout drop access after death. If a player has already accessed a specific loadout drop and then dies, they will not be able to return to that exact same loadout drop to get your loadout again. They will either need to return to their dropped weapons where your skull icon is, or buy a new loadout. Okay, that's like a hard nerf if you're playing aggressive and your squad hasn't all accessed their loadout to make it disappear. That's a pretty significant change. As part of our ongoing efforts to refine gameplay, we've been addressing long-standing cheese mechanics to create a more balanced experience. One exploit, it's not an exploit though, we've observed, particularly in Resurgence, involves a small percentage of players repeatedly using a loadout drop after death to duplicate their weapons. Since players already dropped their weapons upon death, we've improved the skull iconography to help them locate that. We recognize that newer systems such as the weapon trade station can be exploited. So I mean, I guess there's a justification behind that when you're doing it consistently, but I feel like gotta be a really small number of players. I feel like that's going to negatively impact casual players or not as skilled players a whole lot more than this will actually nerf those really good players who are trying to exploit that. So that's a really interesting change. Weapon trade station balancing. Trades now downgrade the weapon by only 1 rarity instead of 2. Trade interaction times have been reduced, and then also fire sale trading offers have been improved. Loadout drop markers no longer take priority when pinging near them. That's a big one. Stamina bar. Added a stamina bar that displays your tac sprint. We've needed that for some time. Glad that that's now a thing. Lethal tactical refill on loadout pickup. Matching lethal and tactical equipment will now be refilled upon picking up a loadout instead of being dropped on the ground. Auto pickup for lethal and tactical. If a player has an empty slot, they will now automatically pick up new equipment. Kill cam delay. A short delay has been added to the start of a kill cam to prevent players from accidentally skipping to the next player. Airspace too crowded notification. That message will now play when equipping a kill streak based on where the player is looking. That could be really good. The XP text was positioned too close to the center of the screen. That's been adjusted. Disconnect icon on the scoreboard. Added that so you can now see if a teammate's been disconnected there. Gulag kill feed icon. A distinct kill feed icon has been added to differentiate gulag kills or normal kills. Kill feed visibility. That's now going to be better there. You can see your teammates' elimination both in and out of the gulag. Favorite loadout priority. A player's favorite loadout now appear at the top of the loadout crate. I love that. Glad to hear that. There's some good quality of life updates here. D-pad functionality in winner circle. Controller players can now use that instead of constantly emoting. Improved icon fade distance while ADS. Increase the distance from the center of the screen at which icons begin to fade out when you are ADSing, so things aren't going to obstruct your view. Recon drone damage feedback. Players using the recon drone now receive feedback when taking damage from enemy players. Loot distribution. They made improvements to how perk packs overlap with other items when dropped on death. Enemy advanced UAV AO. A voiceover line will now play when 3 enemy UAVs are used, signaling an advanced UAV. Then an error message for deploying boxes. Players attempting to use munitions, armor, or utility over 40 meters in the gas now get an error message. Interesting. So there's definitely some good quality of life updates there. That's certainly good news, I would say. We do have a new perk, low profile. It just makes you faster when you are crouched or prone or when you're knocked. I don't think that's going to be a hugely popular one, if I'm being honest with you. That'll be available on the Clover Craze event on March 13th, though, so a while from now. Adjustments, Mountaineer. A fix for the Mountaineer perk is set to launch shortly after the release of Season 2 Reloaded. We still don't have Mountaineer. It's been over a month. We understand that many players have been eagerly waiting to use this new perk, and we sincerely apologize for the delay. While we would have preferred to release it earlier, we appreciate your patience. Can't wait for you to experience it soon. So if this was so broken, why did it release a month ago? If it wasn't working, why has it been in the game breaking loadouts since then? That just seems so weird. Reactive armor, updated description for clarity. The new description, your armor will regenerate 50% of its maximum if you have not taken damage in 5 seconds. On alertness, the indicator will now always appear at the edge of the player's screen regardless of their HUD settings. Equipment adjustments here. Experimental gas. Adjusted movement speed penalties. With attack resistance, the penalty is now down some. With attack resistance, the penalty, without tactical resistance rather, the penalty is also down a little bit there. Fixed a bug causing movement speed penalties to stack unintentionally. With kill streaks here, adjustments, bunker buster. Again, the movement speed penalties have been knocked down a little bit there, so you're not going to get slowed down as much. UAV adjusted the distance at which the warning callout for a UAV is triggered, so it's just going to be a bit more accurate now to being close in your proximity. With weapon updates here, we of course have the D13 sector available in the TMNT event next week. Skateboard melee, the katanas, all these million melee weapons that most players probably won't end up using. The belt fed attachment also coming through the TMNT reward. General adjustments here. The following adjustments are only applicable to MW2 and MW3 weapons. Ooh, okay. Reduced idle sway, weapon bob, and turn sway on all of them. That's huge. I actually really love that. That's going to be pretty important for balancing out the meta weapons, so that's cool. Ammo adjustments. High velocity. The velocity benefit has been increased and they removed the damage range penalty. That's W. Low grain. Gun kick benefit increased. Recoil control benefit increased. They removed the damage range and velocity penalties. That's interesting too. High grain ammo removed gun kick and recoil control penalties. I like that. Round nose added 8% bullet velocity benefit, removed damage range penalty. Then on mono, bullet velocity benefit increased, added a firing aim stability benefit, removed gun kick and recoil penalties. Our goal here was to remove the penalties from some of the most used MW2 and MW3 ammo types to make them less of a trade-off to take. I like that. I mean, high grain ammo is now more valuable than ever, really. Mag attachments. Removed the movement speed penalties on all MW2 and MW3 extended mags. Reduced handling penalties on all MW2 and MW3 extended mags. Removed penalties from medium-sized extended mags on MW2 and MW3 rifles and subs. I like this. This is going to make more MW2 and MW3 weapons actually competitive now. Then we have the actual weapon buffs and nerfs. Keep in mind this is Warzone only, whereas those ones from earlier were for just multiplayer and zombies. The AK gets even better. I love it. The mid-range and the long range is even better, and they also buffed the long range damage as well. On the Cypher, its range is better across the board. Its long range damage is also better, and the leg multiplier got buffed, so the Cypher is going to be even more of a meta option now. The Krig range is better. Leg multiplier got buffed. The Model L actually got its close range damage and range nerfed, but then its long range damage buffed, but its range nerfed. That's kind of interesting. Lower torso and leg multipliers nerfed. Velocity nerfed a little bit too. The Model L will still be good. It's just not going to be as good up close. It'll still be fine over range though. XM4 actually gets a long range damage nerf as well, and then additional adjustments. Upper torso multiplier nerfed, lower arm and torso multipliers also nerfed, so the damage is just gonna be worse on the XM4. On the 100 round mag, the ADS penalty was increased even more. Buffer stock sprint penalty increased, ADS penalty increased. First fire attachment, the damage was actually nerfed, as was the range. The XM4 is just not going to be all that worth it anymore. GPR, CHF barrel, vertical penalty, and horizontal penalty for control there is reduced, so it'll be easier to use. Rapid fire, recoil penalty increased though. Then on SMGs, the C9 range gets worse, just across the board, really. That's going to be okay. It's not going to like take it out of the meta contention or consideration there. It's still going to be really good because its damage didn't get changed. Medium damage range 2 was removed, though. The velocity was also decreased a tad bit. So the C9's a little bit worse, but still going to be really good. Compact gets better range. That's pretty important there. ADS is also better. Upper arm and torso multipliers buffed, too, so the compact gets even better. PP919 range is going to be worse. The first damage, actually all the mid-range damage is worse now too, and its long-range damage is nerfed too. So they're really kind of knocking the PP919 out of the conversation a little bit there, at least it seems like. We'll have to see the full stats once the update's live though. GPMG, better range up close but worse damage, and then better damage at far distance but worse range, so it's kind of inverse there. Remove the first medium damage range. Lower torso and leg multiplier buff, ADS speed buffs as well. Then on the Fang, all the same updates from those global things earlier. Basically the Fang is just a whole lot faster now across the board. For marksman's, the AEK here, this is just for the full auto mod being equipped. The max damage and range is better, then the range in general is better across the board. Also the magazine size has been upped by 5 bullets, so that's actually solid. The AEK full auto mod is probably going to be a pretty decent meta option, all things considered now. SWAT 556 burst delay is going to be better now. It'll just fire faster. Then also the Sarkov has better just responsiveness, basically, is what they're describing there. The SVD, gross. Better damage over long range. Still not going to use it. Upper torso buff, leg multiplier buff, velocity buff. That's all nice. Still not going to use it. The lunge distance on the bat, knife, and power drill is all better now. Underbarrel crossbow has better velocity, ADS zoom level, and has one more ammo count in there. Couple of challenge updates here in Warzone. Warzone Optic Mastery calling card now tracks correctly there. Calling card updates, certain calling cards now properly display a Black Ops 6 required tag. For camos, the Intergalactic Challenge updated the description there to reference concussions instead of stuns. Then in the Prestige 3 challenges, they renamed and adjusted some of these as well. Then we also got plenty of bug fixes too, movement and weapon-based ones. Fix an issue where players were unable to tag sprint after switching to a melee weapon. That's huge. An issue where on controller, after leaving the match with a melee weapon equipped, switching weapons would be broken. An issue where entering water with a melee weapon equipped and then exiting would also mess up your weapon switch. An issue where if a player had throwing knives equipped, that would actually replace their dedicated melee. An issue where visual recoil was too intense on the Jack Jawbreaker amp, and then also an issue on some fast mag attachments that resulted in extra rechamber animations. With combat fixes here, they fixed an issue where if a player eliminates an enemy and their teammate eliminates them again, both eliminations would go to the first player. An issue where eliminations did not properly track for a downed enemy that was taken hostage. An issue where gas masks would take damage from gas grenades inside of a PDS, super niche. An issue where a player who had recently used a PRD would retain the PRD icon on their minimap. With streak fixes, an issue where sometimes the warning callout for the UAV was not playing correctly, an issue where cluster strike missiles would look like they were landing sideways, then also an issue with the precision airstrike danger close text there too. With UI and UX updates, they fixed an issue with the self ping marker missing, an issue where players would incorrectly appear as a squad member in the squad widget, an issue where the scoreboard did not display kills or assists in the gulag, an issue with the after action report, an issue where selecting an operator would break the walking screen, then also an issue with the post rank match displaying too early in the after action report. Stability here, an issue where the small game freezes and flashes could occur with disconnects, an issue where players could encounter a dev error when attempting to access buy stations. That's a big one. An issue where some players encountered a dev error when navigating or leaving sections of Warzone, and also a dev error issue in the barracks tab. So general stability fixes, but we get actual descriptions here, which is great. Miscellaneous, an issue with the Valeria head model, an issue in boot camp with buy stations, and then also an issue where players are kicked back to the play tab in the battle pass. So those are all of the updates and patch notes for Season 2 Reloaded. Definitely a lot of bug fixes. I'm okay that we got quality of life updates and bug fixes as opposed to content. The meta change is also pretty interesting. Let me know your thoughts down below on this update. Obviously, we'll see how it all affects gameplay tomorrow when the update is fully out. We'll be covering everything you need to know, after the update is live. So stay tuned for that alongside everything else going on in COD by, of course, hitting that subscribe button and turning on those post notifications. And if you enjoyed the video, a like rating on your way out would be really appreciated. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.